Quick question. What's the most trusted news source in the UK? Now, I know that is a loaded question, especially in this political climate, but if you ask ChatGPT about current events, the BBC appears in exactly 0% of responses. Not sometimes, never. And that should scare you, no matter your political beliefs. Meanwhile, The Guardian shows up in 58% of answers. GB News, which is essentially like the UK's Fox News equivalent, appears in 3%. This AI isn't just giving you news, it's editing your reality. And nobody's telling you which stories it decides you don't need to see. So new analysis just dropped from the Institute for Public Policy Research, IPPR. It's a major UK think tank. And they looked at how 4 leading AI tools respond to news queries. They tested ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Perplexity, and Google AI overviews. And they ran approximately 100 randomly generated news queries and analyzed over 2,500 links. And here's what they found. ChatGPT's top source, The Guardian, at 58%, then Reuters, then Independent, The Telegraph, just 4%. And The Sun, just 1%. And the Daily Mail, 0%. And the BBC was completely absent from GPT. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Google AI Overviews did use the BBC for 53% of news queries, and Perplexity used it for about 36%. So it's not that the BBC isn't a valid source, just different AI tools have completely different rules about who's getting featured. But what's the difference? That brings us to the money. So some publishers like The Guardian, they have licensing agreements with companies that own AI products like ChatGPT. They get paid for their content and they show up in the results. But others like the BBC, they've blocked AI companies from accessing their content, and they've threatened legal action against Perplexity last year for using their journalism without permission. And ChatGPT appears to be respecting the BBC's wishes, but the cost? I mean, the UK's most trusted news source is now invisible to the country's most widely used AI tool. So what we have is a new generation of information gatekeepers. But unlike a newspaper editor who has their name on the masthead, or a broadcast news director whose choices you can question, AI curation happens behind closed doors. Rules that aren't published, criteria that nobody outside these companies fully understand. And when certain outlets get disproportionate exposure and others are just excluded entirely, you're narrowing the range of perspectives users can see, and you're potentially amplifying particular viewpoints or agendas, and you as the user have no idea it's happening. But there's another dimension to this that goes beyond editorial concerns. It's about money and really survival. When Google AI Overview appears on a search result, users are about half as likely to click on the actual news links. I mean, why would you? The AI already gave you the answer. Who needs the source, right? And news publishers are predicting 43% reduction in traffic from search engines over the next 3 years. And that's not a typo. That's almost half their search traffic gone. And the thing is that's not just search. According to the Ad Exchanger, some publishers have already lost 20 to 30% to even 90% of their traffic and revenue due to zero clicks AI search. And what you can see in referral traffic change year on year is that it's down across the board, across not just Google search, but Facebook and X as well. Kind of interesting to see where now publishers are going to see a more increased effort in 2026. They see YouTube and AI platform optimization, as well as TikTok being the top 3 that they plan on investing more in. And things like traditional Google search, X, Facebook, these are going to be deprioritized in 2026. And the types of things that they're really looking to prioritize are original investigations, on-the-ground reporting, and they're going to be deprioritizing more evergreen content and service journalism. And honestly, this threatens advertising revenue. It threatens subscription models. And here's the really twisted part. AI companies are often using news content to generate these summaries without paying for it. And the platforms are destroying news publishers' business models. And they're doing it by repurposing those same publishers' content for free. It's kind of like a snake eating its own tail, but the snake is also charging you a subscription fee. And here's the thing, quality journalism, like original investigations and on-the-ground reporting, that costs money. Investigative reporters who spend months on a story, or foreign correspondents in conflict zones, data journalists who comb through thousands of documents, and local reporters who cover city councils that nobody ever watches. All of that gets funded, at least partially by advertising and subscriptions driven by search traffic. And when AI intercepts that traffic, just the money disappears. And you might think, well, can't AI just do the journalism, right? It can read documents, it can analyze data, it can summarize information, except it can't, because AI doesn't do original reporting. It doesn't make phone calls, it doesn't cultivate sources, it doesn't sit through the boring meetings or fly to different conflict zones. It summarizes what humans have already discovered and published. And if the humans stop doing the work because no one's paying for it, AI has nothing to summarize and the well runs dry. And we're not just talking about the future of news companies here. We're really talking about the future of knowing things. So the IPPR actually has some recommendations that kind of make sense. First, make AI companies pay for the news they use. They should require fair payments and collective licensing deals just to ensure that a wide range of publishers are included, not just the ones who can afford lawyers to negotiate those individual deals. Second, there should be transparent, clear, and standardized nutrition labels for AI generated news, so users can see where answers come from and how they're shaped. Right now, you have no idea why ChatGPT is citing The Guardian instead of the BBC. And third, using public funding to protect independent journalism in the AI age. The report suggests backing a BBC-led public interest AI news service, just as a way to ensure trusted, non-commercial journalism remains accessible in an AI-dominated landscape. Because honestly, here's the bottom line. AI is rapidly becoming the front door to news, and millions of people are already using these tools instead of search engines, instead of browsing news sites directly. And right now, that door is being controlled by a handful of tech companies in Silicon Valley with little transparency or accountability. They decide what sources you see, which perspectives you get amplified, and which trusted outlets get excluded entirely. And that's not a tech problem, that's a democracy problem. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it should be up to the media companies to reinvent their business models? Or do you think it's up to regulators to create new rules? Or do you think it's up to these AI companies to more equitably choose which news sources get cited in their AI summaries? I'd love to hear in the comments below. My name's Bradley, and if you want to keep understanding how AI is reshaping the information landscape, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.